It's Elgintensity, aka Traprica Bambata. I just bought a copy of 1020 Life, the Powerlifting ebook by Brian Carroll. After reading it, I decided to review it. Brian Carroll is a personal trainer, massage therapist, and powerlifter. Here are his stats. Now, this book is for people who want to get stronger and put up better totals on the platform. This is not for people who are into handstand walks and kipping pull-ups and shit like that. If you're into that, you probably don't know how to read anyway. This is not the book for being the best at exercising. Now, the book costs $39.99 and it comes with a cutting weight ebook that is valued at around the same. This book is about 100 pages and full color, although the photos are mostly of Brian Carroll making puffy faces. One thing that Brian Carroll really drives home is that a lot of us take mobility way too far. We foam roll the shit out of everything, trying to be supple, but mobility is only beneficial to a point. You just have to be mobile enough to get into certain positions. If you're a powerlifter, those would be bench, squat, dead. So anything beyond that, you're just sabotaging your performance. Carroll addresses mobility and warming up as follows. He has an ABCD system. A would be the general warm-ups that get your blood flowing and activate your nervous system. And he gives examples of all of these in the book. B would be movements that stiffen your core. 3 would be movements that address your problem areas. For instance, any injured muscles you have. And D would be your lift-specific movements, which always begin with an empty barbell. There are multiple ways to lay out a program in this book. The first way is a 3-day, optionally 4-day split. The first day, you squat, you pick your main squat accessory, and then 2 or 3 accessories after that. Next day is bench, accessories after that. Next day, deadlift, accessories after that. And the 4th day is optional. Some people would call it a bodybuilding day. He calls it the fluff and buff day, which is masculine as hell. You just pick your weak body parts. My guess would be, on most people, rear deltoids, lats, biceps, that kind of thing. The other way to lay it out, if you need more recovery, is to do your squatting and deadlifting on one day with some accessories, your benching, and then on the 3rd day, your squat and deadlift assistance. So instead of going heavy 3 days a week, like in the first program layout, you're going heavy 2 days a week, and you have 1 week between your squat dead day and your next squat dead day. He also gives accessory lifts to take the guesswork out of your weak points and how to improve your lifts. And that makes for much more intelligent exercise selection. Another thing that really stands out about this book is that the author repudiates the concept of being at or near your peak strength levels all year round. Instead, he advocates an off-season and pre-contest style of training. I'm going to read straight from the book now. It says, if your goal is to destroy your body, feel free to redline it 24/7, 365. Have fun with that, put a few videos on YouTube, and ride your popularity for a year or two until you get hurt and fade into oblivion. I've done programs in which I had to be at or near my peak strength levels all the time, and I did in fact burn out, miss lifts, and get hurt, so I can attest to that. In the off-season, the reps are really high and the intensity is low. He uses an RPE, or rate of perceived exertion system, to determine the weights for the day. You stay between a 5 and an 8 on the scale, and you never miss lifts. The off-season lasts 10 weeks. Every 3 weeks you deload, and RPE progresses on the non-deload weeks. On week 10 you test, and that's the only time you come close to redlining. Everything is laid out in a nice, neat chart, and there's also an alternative layout for people who've been injured. It's called combo training, where again, you have a week in between your squat deadlift days. Pre-contest, it's the reverse. It's high intensity and lower reps. Instead of RPE, he uses percentages of clean lifts to determine the weights for the day. He also uses reverse bands and the lightened method during this phase, which helps you build speed and builds confidence with heavier weights. Pre-contest is also 10 weeks, and you deload every 3. There's a chart for the regular program, and again there's a chart for a program that allows for more recovery in between squat and deadlift days. While overall I'm satisfied with the contents of the book, there are several downsides. For one, the diet section is only 2 pages long. in a 100-page ebook. That's pretty sparse. It makes no sense that there's even a nutrition section in the book when you get a making weight ebook with the purchase of this book, and that one goes into much greater detail into nutrition. So the nutrition section was really just an afterthought. And two, there are just over 10 pictures in a 100-page ebook. They're full color, but like I demonstrated earlier, a lot of them are just of Brian Carroll's puffy cheeks. That's not very descriptive or helpful. There also aren't any photos in the accessory lifts section, which for things like push-ups wouldn't be much of a problem, but for things like the McGill crunch, more esoteric exercises like that, it helps to have a picture. I was reading about the McGill crunch, an exercise I've never heard of before, and when I tried to do it and then checked against a YouTube video, I got it completely fucked up. So pictures would have helped tremendously. All in all, I recommend the book. The mobility section really makes you think twice about all the shit you do and gets you just flexible enough to perform the lifts and get stronger. The program itself is intelligently laid out. It takes into account some people who just need more recovery time, and it sets up an off-season and pre-contest phase so that you're constantly making progress without being burned out. And it's only $40 for 100 pages of solid content. The website that sells it, powerrackmedia.com/1020life, also has some really good blog posts by Brian Carroll. So if you want some supplemental material, you can check that out as well. Once again, that's powerrackmedia.com/1020life. Go ahead and pick up that book, but you don't have to take my word for it.